Hi everyone, James here from F9 Audio, and hopefully today I've got something that will be of great use to an awful lot of you. It's a little bundle of 24-bit audio files that you can use as mix reference points whilst you're working on your own material. But what's different about all of these files, they are not mastered, they are pre-mastered. Let me explain. I know a lot of you guys, like me, use mix referencing software. And if you dump fully mastered files onto that and then start to reference your current mix, you are actually chasing two different processes. Not just the mix, but a professional mastering job afterwards. Also, if you're regularly dropping compressed audio formats like MP3 or MP4 onto your playback slots, you are definitely not giving yourself the best point of reference. What you could do with is a series of 24-bit WAVs, and that's exactly what we're trying to supply here. And what you've just heard there is exactly what I'm talking about. This is a 24-bit pre-mastered file. It has no limiting on it. It just has a touch of mix bus compression and a little bit of mix bus EQ. It is a working mix that I know responds incredibly well to mastering, but most importantly, that mastering has not yet been applied. Also, the RMS value of the mix, in other words, the average volume level of the mix, is centered around -14. Now, we've loaded them up as a preset for this fantastic new plugin called Metric AB by Adapter, distributed by Plugin Alliance. I know an awful lot of you are already using a previous version of this technology, but this, in my opinion, is the actual ultimate of it. It's also got an archive function that's allowed us to actually bundle all the tracks up with an actual preset file. So all you've got to do is click on that preset. As long as you leave the folder structure the same, everything will load into the correct slots. Let me just talk you through the different parts as we have split them up. The first one is the full mix, unmastered, so it's a pre-master, it's nice and raw, no limiting on the actual final output. Now, I find modern drums are the most important things to get right, so we've also included an identical stem set of this that is just the drums. And just the bass parts. So you can always flip backwards and forwards between what you're actually working on and this reference point. Now, please bear in mind, I'm not saying that your mix should sound exactly like that. This is just a great frame of reference. Now, we've also got loops. Now, the kick may appear to be a bit of an oddity, but I can't tell you how many times I wished I had a reference point like that from other professional producers whilst I was mixing in the past. And this is what systems like Metric AB are going to allow us to achieve in the future. But not only can I flip between my reference tracks like this and my current stream, but now we've got a whole series of different analysis methods, for example, spectrum, correlation, stereo image, dynamics, and loudness. Now, I'm not going to go into detail on these analysis modes in this video. There is plenty of documentation on the Plugin Alliance website, as well as videos showing you how all of this works. We're here to deliver you these reference files and the preset. So if you would like a copy of these files, please look at the text surrounding this video, whether that be on YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, or direct on the F9 site. There will be a link in the surrounding text for this video showing you how to get it. So why minus 14? Well, there's a couple of reasons, and you may have seen the figure minus 14 pop up in some serious mastering blogs just recently. There's a very, very good reason for all of that. First of all, let's look at the mix. From a practicality point of view, if you're using either a modern digital VU meter system or something like K metering set at minus 14 for your 0 point, you will find it so much easier to put your mixes together because you will have so much wiggle room when you're actually setting your balances or running automation. Now, there's another much more important reason why I've picked minus 14. Let me quickly explain. If you think about the last couple of decades, mastered music has been getting louder and louder and louder as we've pushed dynamic processing and the 2-track file format to its absolute limit just to try and get a little bit more volume out of things. But something has just come along that is going to massively change all of that, and I think we're only just starting to adjust to it now, and that's streaming. So just imagine for a moment you're starting a brand new streaming service and you've got music from the last 70 years up on your platform. You're going to have a major problem with volume because the music from, say, the 50s, 60s and 70s is going to be way quieter in terms of perceived loudness than the nosebleed EDM of 2014. Now, that presents a real problem because the only thing you want is a consistent user experience. You don't want one track to suddenly jump out in level or one to sound way too quiet and people be constantly fussing with their headphone controls. The only solution to this problem is for you to create an internal standard of perceived loudness. You want it kind of somewhere in the middle because then you can take the quietest tracks and increase them in level to that point and take the super hot material and drop them in level. That will give you that consistent user experience. This is what is happening right now on every single streaming platform. Now, I'm sure an awful lot of you can already see where I'm going with this. From what we can currently ascertain, every single major streaming service is currently using minus 14 or figures very close to it as their standardized internal reference point. Which means if your master goes in louder than that, it's going to be pulled down to that level. If it goes in quieter, it's going to be raised in volume to that level. So if you think about it, if the end user experience is going to end up around this volume level, surely it makes sense for it to be used as often as possible all the way down the chain, including our mixing. Now, the music industry actually has a history of having standards like this imposed on it sometimes by complete accident. The whole reason that the sampling frequency of CDs is 44.1 and not the technically favoured frequency of 48 kilohertz is that the developers of CD found that they couldn't actually put certain very long progressive rock albums onto a single CD at the beginning of the technology, so they dropped the sampling rate to decrease the amount of data. Fast forward a few years, and the Motion Picture Engineering Group, or MPEG, developed a very lossy compression format for the audio stream on a DVD. They called it MPEG Layer 3 or MP3. It would be of absolutely no surprise to me if in a few years this adoption of minus 14 by the streaming companies filters all the way down the chain to us and it's in our daily workflow. Only time will tell if that's the case, and like everything online, this is just my opinion. Thanks for watching this video, and I hope you get some great use out of these reference files. And as a call out now to the rest of the industry, why don't we start to pool a whole series of pre-masters for reference software like this? What an invaluable tool that would be going forward in the modern music industry. Mixing is not getting easier, it's just getting harder. So any tools that we can use to make this process simpler can be viewed only as positive. All the best from us at F9, and we'll see you next time.